Hello there, I'm Reed Price. I'm the director of the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. And we're here today to talk with Caroline Stevens, who is putting together a program on preparedness for dementia, the just in case situation of dementia. And Caroline has done a number of planning sessions with members of the Senior Center and in the community about advanced medical directives. So she's an ideal person to talk to us about this and help us through this. And with me today to have the conversation with Caroline is Katie Auger, who is our community resource navigator here at the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. Hi, Katie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. Hi, Caroline. Thank you. Let's get started. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you get pulled into this field?
Well, I was a hospice nurse for a number of years. I think 6, 12, maybe 15 years of a hospice nurse. And I saw a lot of patients who were in hospice who had end-stage dementia. I also got really interested in healthcare advanced planning while I was a hospice nurse. So I started doing general healthcare advanced planning. But all the forms that are used for healthcare advanced planning none of them really deal with the issue of dementia. And maybe the folks that write those forms don't realize that dementia is an end-stage disease. Once you have dementia, you very likely will die from dementia. So I wanted to help folks understand that and also plan a healthcare advanced directive specifically for dementia, just in case they were diagnosed with it.
So I'm wondering how frequent dementia is a diagnosis. And I know when we're talking about dementia, we're not only talking about Alzheimer's. There are a variety of different kinds of dementia.
Yeah, I was doing some research, and I would say about 10% of people over the age of 80 have significant dementia. People start to develop dementia sometimes as early as their mid-60s, and then it progresses. Yeah, it's a progressive disease. Other kinds of dementia will add into that rate of
just the prevalence
disease.
of how.
Yeah, the prevalence, but I was trying not to use that word.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just because it's such a big word. So overall, the prevalence of dementia is 5 to 8% of all people over 55. Mm-hmm. So that includes Alzheimer's as well as the other forms of dementia.
So there are, as we'll find out, I guess, some options for people that they can do. They can take action when they're thinking about their advanced directives so that they can sort of direct what's going to happen at the point that they may not be able to express their views themselves.
Yeah, pretty much once you are diagnosed with dementia, you may be unable to create an advanced directive. You might still be able to make certain decisions for yourself and seem like you're pretty okay, but planning for end of life is it's complicated. And once you begin to lose your ability to think real clearly on complex issues, you may not be able to make a plan for dementia. It's harder at that point. So it's really imperative for people to understand that they should make a plan for just in case they get dementia before they get dementia.
What has gotten you fired up about doing this kind of work?
Well, overall, I think that people don't really know and understand what it really looks like to die from dementia. And one of my very early jobs before I became a nurse even back in like the early 1970s, was working in a long-term care facility, and I was a nursing assistant on a ward, if you will, of people that were totally bedbound, had to be fed, couldn't sit up on their own, had no means of communication, couldn't call for help if they needed help. They were basically unable to communicate and unable to move on their own. And as a young adult at that point, that was really shocking for me. When I later became a hospice nurse, I began to see some people in that condition living in adult family homes. And they had no chance at that point to make decisions about whether they would continue to receive nutrition, whether they wanted to eat or not, whether they wanted any kind of medical treatment or not. They just couldn't make any decisions for themselves. And if they hadn't created an advance directive around that particular diagnosis and or communicated with their family what their preference would be if they were in that state, then they were just kind of stuck there. And to see that, I think, I just felt really sad that people had lost their agency to make decisions and were living in kind of a limbo state.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that may have changed in our lifetimes, I remember going to nursing homes where people were being, well, the word at the time was senile. And the idea basically was that they were without agency. And I think we're learning a lot more that there are still a lot of aspects of agency that reside with people who have who are facing dementia, and trying to figure out how to communicate those desires is one of the things that maybe you'll be talking about in this one-time. There are a series of one-time meetings you're going to be having with folks,
Right.
so that you can kind of set yourself up so that your wishes can be understood when it isn't so easy to be trusted, or when the aspects of dementia make it more difficult to understand.
That's really a good perspective, Reed. Just as a very quick example of that, you know, when people have cancer or heart disease, or just are really old without dementia, kidney disease, they start not wanting to eat anymore because their body can't really process food. And that also happens for people that have dementia. Their body, their brain is actually shutting down, and their body is shutting down, and they don't feel like eating. So when a caregiver comes to them, maybe they don't feed themselves anymore, so the caregivers try to feed them, they turn their head away. They're not hungry, they don't want to eat, they turn their head away. And people don't understand that potentially that's a sign that they're really trying to die, and that's a normal part of end of life, is to stop wanting to eat. So yes, we talk about that in this class, and people have the option of creating a document that directs their family how to feed them or not feed them if they're in that situation. Should I give my mom not eating anymore? Should I have a feeding tube put in now? Those kind of questions. And it's a really good opportunity to put down on paper what a person might want or not want, and then to have a discussion with whoever's going to be making those decisions for them if they get dementia.
Caroline, who should consider participating in this class or program?
Oh, anybody. You, Reed, anybody who is thinking ahead about trying to plan for end of life, even if they've already met with their attorney and their family and they have an advance directive already about healthcare, like if they have a stroke or if they have a heart attack or, you know, that kind of thing. If they haven't addressed dementia, then they've left out a whole category of planning that is really important to be done. And it's really, it's kind of cutting edge. It's really only in the last few years that healthcare has begun to think about this.
Right. So for anyone who is considering signing up, then yes, you should consider.
Right. And, you know, I think that my phone number might be in the splash, and you can call me up and we can talk about your concerns, and you can find out what kind of person I am, you know, if you haven't met me before, and if maybe that would help you decide whether or not you want to be in the class. You also could bring, you know, your daughter to the class with you, and have your whoever's your healthcare agent be in the class with you to learn all the things you're going to learn in the class about the choices and why it's important to make choices.
So there are 3 classes set up. They're each about 2 hours in length, and it's $6 per person per class, and they're limited to 6 people per class. So it'll be an intimate and useful time for you and your family who might attend with you.
Right. And I'm not sure how we're doing for time, but I'm going to talk about one other really important thing. Doing this kind of planning is really a gift for your family, because whoever your family is or whoever's going to make decisions for you, they want to know what you would want them to do. It's a huge burden to try to make these decisions without knowing what you would want, without having had a conversation with you, or at least being able to read what you put down on paper. My sister died from dementia about three months ago, and I had a conversation with her husband a couple weeks after she died. I was on the phone with him. I mean, I had spoken with him before, but this particular conversation, I was on the phone with him for about 25 minutes, and he sobbed through the whole conversation. Part of it, of course, was just his loss, and he was grieving. But the other thing is that he thought he was responsible for her death because he didn't do the right thing at the end. But how would he know if he did the right thing or not? Because they never, ever had talked about it. And that's really going to make his grief complicated and difficult and painful.
So this is a gift that you can give that you won't be around to witness the receiving of, but it will make a big difference in your loved ones' lives.
Oh, that's well put. Exactly. That's exactly right.